The first punch landed before sunrise in the private rehabilitation gym of Mercy Harbor Medical Center. Ethan Vale, 26, black belt, undefeated in regional tournaments, drove his fist into the heavy bag until the chain screamed. Across the glass wall, his father's private nurse watched without reacting. Ethan noticed her. "You're staring," he said. "I'm monitoring your father's heart rate," Nora replied. He laughed. "Sure. You're the new nurse, right? You look like you've never been in a fight." Nora adjusted the tablet in her hand. "I haven't come here to fight anyone." That answer irritated him more than an insult could have. Ethan's father, Victor Vale, was one of the hospital's wealthiest donors, a billionaire whose name was engraved on half the building. After a stroke, he occupied a private suite guarded like a government facility. Ethan believed money made him untouchable. He also believed fear made other people honest. He stepped closer to Nora. "My father says you're unusually calm." "I try to be." "Then let's test it." Nora looked directly into his eyes, numb. The gym went silent. Ethan smiled. "You're afraid?" "No," she said quietly. "I'm disciplined." He laughed loudly enough for two orderlies to look over. Same thing. But then he raised his fists. Nora walked away. By noon, the story had spread through the hospital. The billionaire's son had challenged the new nurse, and she had refused. Ethan made sure everyone heard his version. "She talks tough until someone stands in front of her." Nora ignored him. She had learned long ago that humiliation was often bait. But Ethan did not know that. He did not know she had once spent 11 years inside the most unforgiving corners of the United States military. He did not know that the quiet woman checking his father's medication had commanded a Navy SEAL team under fire. And he certainly did not know why she had left. Next morning, Ethan cornered her near the staff elevator. "You embarrassed me yesterday." Nora pressed the elevator button. "I didn't say anything about you." "You didn't have to." He blocked the doors. "Fight me for 60 seconds. If I win, you admit I was right." Nora studied him. "Why does winning matter so much to you?" "Because people respect strength. People fear strength," she said. "Respect has to be earned." The doors opened. Ethan followed her into the elevator. "You think you're better than me?" "No. I think you're better than this." That stopped him. For 1 second, the fighter looked like a frightened son. "My father never lets me forget that everything I have came from him," Ethan whispered. "If I'm not the strongest, I don't know who I am." Nora softened. "Then stop trying to prove who you are." He looked away. "Who are you?" Nora stared at the closing doors. Someone who learned that lesson too late. And neither of them knew that, 3 floors below, a maintenance worker had just opened a locked service door. He was carrying a badge. The badge belonged to someone who had died 6 months earlier. Inside the service corridor, a hidden camera recorded everything. And someone watching from outside whispered, "Commander Nora Hale is alive." The hunt for her had begun. That evening, Victor suddenly collapsed. The cardiac monitor shrieked. Nora reached his room before the code team. "Mr. Vale, can you hear me?" Victor's eyes rolled back. "Call a code." Doctors rushed in. Ethan followed, frozen. "Pressure 70/40. His airway is closing." Nora looked at the monitor. "Stop." The attending physician snapped. "Nurse, move." "Stop the medication." The doctor hesitated. Nora pointed. "His pupils changed 30 seconds ago. This isn't just a stroke complication. He's bleeding." A CT scan confirmed it. But the bleeding was massive, and the operating room was already occupied. Victor's condition deteriorated by the second. The surgeon looked at Nora. "What do you suggest?" Her voice changed. Calm, precise, commanding. "Elevate the head. Prepare blood. 2 large bore lines. Call neurosurgery and anesthesia. Tell them we have less than 8 minutes." Everyone moved. Ethan stared. That voice did not belong to an ordinary nurse. Victor crashed. Pulse gone. Nora climbed onto the bed. "Start compressions." The team obeyed. For 4 terrifying minutes the room became controlled chaos. Then Victor's pulse returned. The surgeon exhaled. But Nora did not. She was staring at the security camera in the corner. "Why is that blinking?" Everyone turned. A red light flashed. Security checked the system and discovered someone had accessed Victor's room remotely. Then the doors locked. A message appeared on the monitor. "Transfer clamped." Ethan went pale. "What does that mean?" Nora looked at him. "It means your father's medical records were just stolen." The lights went out. Emergency lighting painted the hallway red. A gunshot cracked somewhere downstairs. People screamed. Nora immediately moved between Ethan and his father. "Stay here." Ethan blinked. "You're a nurse." Nora looked at him. "Tonight I'm more than that." 3 armed men entered the corridor. The first raised his weapon. Nora grabbed a metal tray and slammed it into his wrist before he could fire. The weapon dropped. The second charged. She pivoted, drove her shoulder into his chest, and sent him crashing through a glass cabinet. The third fired. Nora pulled Ethan down. The bullet struck the wall. She rolled behind the bed and whispered, "When I tell you to run, run." Ethan stared at her with disbelief. You've done this before." Nora said nothing. The attacker advanced. Ethan suddenly stood. "Hey!" Nora shouted. "Down!" He ignored her and charged with the confidence of a black belt. The gunman swung the weapon. Nora intercepted him, but Ethan's punch distracted her for half a second. The attacker escaped through the stairwell. Ethan looked ashamed. "I almost got you killed." "Yes," Nora said. "You did." For the first time, his arrogance disappeared. Then came another twist. Victor opened his eyes. "Ethan," his voice was barely audible. "Your mother knew." Ethan froze. "Knew what?" Victor looked at Nora. She was there when the convoy was attacked. Nora's face tightened. Years earlier, a classified extraction had gone wrong overseas. Nora's SEAL team had been ambushed while protecting a civilian intelligence asset. One teammate died. Another disappeared. Nora had been blamed for the mission failure. She resigned. The intelligence asset had been Victor Vale's wife. Ethan stared at her. "You knew my mother?" "I tried to save her." Victor whispered. "She survived." Nora stepped backward. "No." Victor nodded weakly. "She's alive." Before Ethan could speak, the hospital alarm sounded again. Security announced that the attackers had reached the basement. Nora looked toward the door. Then Victor grabbed her wrist. "Finish what you started." She understood. The stolen records contained evidence connecting Victor's company to the attack that had destroyed her team. Nora left the room. Ethan followed. "You're not going alone." She stopped. "You're not a soldier." "No," he said. "But I'm not running anymore." They reached the basement. The final gunman was waiting beside the server room. He recognized Nora. "Commander." Ethan looked at her. The man smiled. "They told us you were dead." Nora stepped forward. "They were wrong." He raised his weapon. Ethan moved first, drawing the man's attention. Nora disarmed him in seconds. Security rushed in. The stolen files were recovered. But the greatest revelation came hours later. Victor admitted he had secretly funded the search for Nora's missing teammate for 11 years. That teammate was alive, and he was the hospital's chief surgeon. When he entered Victor's room, Nora could barely breathe. He saluted her. "Commander." Nora returned the salute. Ethan stood behind them, tears in his eyes. "I challenged the wrong person." Nora smiled faintly. "No, you challenged someone who needed reminding that strength isn't about winning fights." Ethan lowered his head. "What is it about?" Nora looked at Victor, then at the surgeon, then at the young man who had finally learned humility. Knowing when to protect someone instead of proving you can hurt them. Months later, Ethan still trained every morning. But he no longer trained to dominate. He trained with veterans at a rehabilitation center Nora helped establish. Victor survived. His company funded the program anonymously, and Nora never returned to combat. She became the nurse who quietly saved lives one patient at a time. But whenever someone asked whether she missed commanding a SEAL team, she gave the same answer. "I never stopped commanding. I just changed what I was fighting for." And perhaps that was the greatest victory of all, because the strongest person in the room is not always the one throwing the hardest punch. Sometimes, it is the person who has every reason to fight and chooses to save instead. If this story reminded you that true strength can hide behind the quietest face, subscribe for more unforgettable stories of courage, sacrifice, and redemption. And remember, never judge someone by the uniform they wear. You may have no idea what battles they already survived.